Okay, hello everyone. I promised to stream to continue on with our automation of our automations in event source systems in, how we actually document some automation here. And in this case, we have a processor that creates some IDs. And today we're going to look at writing some tests. But first of all, I wanted to show that in event model, we also, if we want to be a little bit more complete for how things are done, we can have, first of all, let me zoom in a bit. So we have, let's clear this for now. Okay, so what we want to do in an event model is show our implementation sometimes. So let's turn off all the extra things that are getting in the way here. Well, actually, the layers is important. So I'm going to show the layers because what we want to do is yesterday or the day before, sorry, I missed the stream yesterday, was a little bit too busy. So what we have here is a layer for the event model. And of course, we have the progress, which we can turn off and on. But also we have this idea of having code in here so that we can show what code is actually running when we go through this workflow. As we move along here, why not? We could probably even automate this to, have the code pop up wherever we want. So if I'm talking to the business about how, this whole system works, and I'm following the mock-ups, so that they can see what screens people are using and then what the system is storing along the way. And then even talk to them about some of the different ways that different actions can happen over time, kind of like your use cases, but described on a timeline, and show kind of like what this collection will look like after each set of actions that have been recorded in the style of event sourcing, of course. So this is really good. A good way to link everything together, much better than wikis or any other kind of documentation, because it actually is a living document that tracks the progress of everything. As you can see, the progress here is showing that I'm actually working on this right now. And of course, we can take that off and on. So the same thing with the code. We can actually show the code that we did here. And I'm going to give you a big heads up on VS Code problems. So let's take a look at, let's just see, how do we have this little to-do list? Like, let's say if I'm a person that's coding, and so I want to paste in the code here so that we can see what code I use to make this implementation for this piece right here. So let's go over to our code and notice that I have this to-do gen conf ID state view. Okay, we can probably use better terminology. SV I know is state view all the time because we only have the two patterns, state view and state change. So you're going to see SC and SV through a bunch of functions here. And of course, this is basically what we showed in our diagram as listening to either a unique ID requested, and then of course when we provide that ID, we also update that it's done. So we have two types of events that this green box listens to and updates its contents accordingly. And so in this case, we do have that here, and we have that here. So we'll get into the code that takes care of these again. We went over it last time. But let's say, okay, I want to copy this code, and of course, everyone knows that if you just press Control Copy here, it has an HTML version and a regular text version, so that modern copy paste is quite robust. You can do a lot of stuff. So if I copy this here, and then I go back and I go, hey, let's explain how this works. Let's just zoom out a bit because I kind of want to make sure it's in this processor. So I want to paste this code somewhere here. Okay, Control V. Awesome. This code is, oops, I pasted it in there because I was in, yeah, I don't know why I did that, but let's just try that. I probably had it selected. So let's not have it selected and then press Control V and it won't stick it into any particular box. So, okay, so that's the code that we have here. I can also make it smaller if I want. Notice it's kind of got weird formatting because that's the HTML that VS Code is spitting out at us. So weird formatting. notice that it does a few things here that are odd. Okay, so part of it is, this draw IO trying to format things here. Of course, I can go in and just reduce the text size so that, we can kind of have something that's a little smaller here. I think I have to play around with some other things here in terms of like the spacings. I don't know if that would work. There's probably something else in here. Style, border, spacing. Anyway, probably something in here. But regardless, let's just back out of that. Control minus. Oops, not that. Control plus. Let's go back to the text size of this and bump it back up to what it was before. I think it was 12 for it to look decent. But notice that we lost something. We lost our indentation. This does not look good. This function doesn't have anything inside it here indented. I think if I was to go in here and start doing that, I could edit this, but that's a lot of work. We certainly don't want to have to do any of that kind of stuff. So let's just delete this whole thing. And is this a problem with VS Code? I think it sort of is, because if we go and use another editor like Kate, in KDE and Linux, Kate is one of the best editors. I really like it. It has a syntax highlighting for almost anything. It's got a, like, if you want something lightweight that's gonna Notepad plus kind of feel, this thing's just beautiful. And some of the stuff that you can do in selections and all that with just running scripts in here, yeah, you can go down a rabbit hole in this editor. It's amazing. But because it's a good full-featured editor, we can find kind of the same thing, here, and copy it all. Control copy, go back here, go to our diagram, and make sure we don't have nothing selected, and press Control V. It does give us, our indents, which is great. Again, that's good, but where did the formatting go? I kind of like the way this looks. I think you can go edit and then copy as HTML. Okay, that might work. Let's try that. Control V. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Can I edit this? I sure can. Okay, so how come that did a good job? So it all comes down to what's in the clipboard manager. And this is where you can go down a rabbit hole just to show, just to see how clipboards work these days. It's pretty cool, actually. So let's take a look at what's in the clipboard. And if we do an xclip, let's see, target, I think it's list targets. Let's do man. Let's just do the manual, because I think I forget how it's done. But if we do man xclip, that's a terminal thing here. So we can look at, so put the contents to selected onto, so here we can see this, there's a text here, text/HTML. So you can, there's a template, this template thing here, which is pretty interesting. If we use Cursor AI, I don't know this command that well. I only use it for the very basic features, but I was pleasantly surprised that I could actually do everything I wanted for the different types of contents that the clipboard does when we copy code from our editor. So if I press Control K here, and I say show the for all contents, show all content of clipboard using xclip, right? So it should give us something. So okay, use list templates, I think. List templates, because that's what I think they're called. No. Let's go back to the man page. Okay, so let's go back. What is that thing called? and xclip, and we have XA primary. Where are they listed here? So there's loop. So what does the T stand for again? Targets. Ah, that's it. List the targets. Okay, so if we press Control K and go up through list targets using xclip. So I should know what that is. Selection. Okay. So that's what's in the clipboard, which you can see is as HTML. Okay, this one doesn't have everything in there because I think this is as only HTML. So this allows you to just select either the HTML or whatever, or text. So if I do regular Control C, it'll just take it as text. If I do copy as HTML, it'll do exactly that. However, Visual Studio Code does something else. So if I go here and I highlight my function and press copy, I can then, oh, what was it? Target. So I think I had it before in my history. I'll just look up my history for target. If I type in the word target, and Fish Shell does it. Okay, yeah, oh, okay, targets. So that's -T for targets, and I use the word targets, it'll actually list them. So notice that we have a couple of things here. We have this HTML, and we also have this plain, and we can show them all by doing xclip out, and then instead of targets, we can say one of them. So if I do text-html, it'll show me that, and this is again, this thing here. So, oops, sorry. Yeah, it's this thing here, and I'll go back up here. And if I, however, if I use text and then plain, this is exactly what you would paste into, Notepad or whatever you're using without all that HTML. But notice that it's sitting as the same clipboard entry. This is what's kind of mind-blowing, is that you have multiple formats. And where this really counts is that actually for images, that'll work too. So if you're doing an SVG, you could really, depending on your source application, provide a bitmap or something that's non-SVG format when you're copying some nodes out of Inkscape or some other vector thing. You could paste a vector in image into another thing, and it'll invoke, yeah, clipboards are kind of dynamic. It's much more than it used to be when I was first playing around with them in the 90s. So so let's go back to the problem that we're showing here. So we have, obviously this does have text, and anyone that actually knows a lot about HTML will spot the problem instantly here. It took me a while to find it, but so it seems to have everything here that you need to do this. So it has this white space pre formatting means that you're going to have leading spaces, which is what we're looking at here. The case word in that piece of code has to have this much indentation. This is spaces, but obviously anyone that understands HTML is not going to pay attention to spaces. Is just going to ignore it and just use the text. That's why you have non-breaking space characters and all this other workaround. But modern browsers have this white space pre, which means you will render the white space for like code snippets and all that. But why is it not working here? And why does it work in the other one? So if I'm pasting this in, Let's take a look at what it was for the other one. It has this pre-word here. So I want to preserve the I don't want to have to go and go into a different editor to just, you know, go over and copy some code into my event model, right? So I don't want to have to go to Kate all the time to go and get this. If I'm working in this IDE, I kind of want to just go over, highlight what I want in here, press copy, and paste it in here so I can have, you know, this view of like, you know, what do all these things um, look like and whatnot. So let's try that again and see. So long story short, the problem is that when we look at over here, we don't have a. This is actually bad formatting. There's a whole bunch of things that Draw.io does that makes the styling kind of overwrite this, and you can check this out in Draw.io by going to this file and embed and just say, give me an HTML thing. It'll give you a web page where it has the XML for this diagram. And in there, it'll take a style sheet that it hosts. It's a minified one, so you can't really like decipher what's in there. And you'll notice if you inspect the code, the source, you'll notice that it's stripped out all the white spaces. The spaces that you need for indenting. So there's some shenanigans that go on in, you know, VS Code is not to blame entirely. There's also some things that Draw.io does. So how do we get around this problem? Well, there is an XML Starlet utility for the command line, which you can use to basically say, okay, if I notice something weird about this, is that this outer div, if after looking a bit online, there's an outer div here that wraps this whole code snippet. It ends down here, but it starts here and it's got all these things in here. Now, each individual line of the source code is its own div, a child div. And you'll notice that there it doesn't do anything in terms of having this pre or whatever. It just has the colors generally in there, and that's about it. So you have the nice formatting that you want. So it seems like the only way to shake out the problem here is to edit this particular outer div that we have here, and just highlight it for you. It's up here, and so a quick way to do this, and I obviously just did some research with AI and all that. It was able to find me some ways of quickly editing that. So let's take a look at what that was. I basically had this little one-liner that basically takes the output of the HTML version of whatever in the clipboard, which is what I would have done during my copying here. Let's make this again. We kind of know what the crazy syntax is of these things. So if we go back here, whatever HTML this generates, the outer div actually should be a pre-tag, and the style attribute can be exactly the same. And the pre-tag with the white space styling seems to do the trick. But there's another little surprise that's kind of weird in this. So let's see if this fixes it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm piping out the output from the clipboard. Then I'm piping it into the XML Starlet editor, which is a command line editor for XML. I'm preserving the space, the white space and all that stuff. That's what the P and the S stand for. And then the R is a rename of an element. And so I'm looking for the first div at the top level, and I'm rewriting it as a pre. So it's basically renaming the top element, and that's it. And then once it's done all of that, I pipe the output and basically write it back to the clipboard. And notice that I'm taking, I keep using the word template, but it's a target, right? So it's the target of for the text in HTML, which is, I guess, a key value store for a particular clipboard entry. And again, there's two clipboards. There's a primary and the main clipboard. It's Xclip gives you a way to have two of them at the same time, which is kind of good, I guess. So that if you're doing clipboard stuff on the terminal, and you don't want to kind of destroy the clipboard that you're using for mousing around and pasting through other applications, you can choose the default one. In fact, if I don't say cell C, it's going to use the default primary template, primary clipboard for Xclip, and that way I can use this instead of I guess you could use a temporary file, but whatever. If you want to manipulate clipboards, then do this. It has that functionality. Then it won't affect it. So anyway, here we're basically fixing that up so that, if I run this, oh, I think I pasted something else. So let's go back to this thing here and just copy all this. So if I copy this, and now I can run. So let's just test that this doesn't work. Go back over here, click somewhere here and paste it. Yeah, there's no indents here. I zoom in, notice there's no indents. Horrible. So let's go down here and use our little one-liner. And something is the matter. Let's just do opening and closing tag mismatch. Oh, that's odd. Okay. Did I have more Xclips here that I did that I don't remember doing? Is that the same one? Selection clipboard. Oh yeah, probably that. Oh yeah, that's it. So yeah, I had what did I do here? I tried to trim down the selection clipboard, and I think it's cell and C, but for some reason it's not working. So, but this works. So now if I go here and press Control V again, notice that it's a different behavior now. All of a sudden, we do get that. What we kind of wanted. Obviously, there's a bit of a formatting thing that it's flowing out of the space that we have, but at least we get our indents. So that's good. So much better than this. But here's the funky thing. So what do you think would happen if I pressed, delete here and then went back and copied this and went back here and just pasted that text back here? Notice I didn't have to run the utility. It's as if this text box now has the memory that it's looking for a pre, and even though it gets a div, it's like this rendering engine has reset itself for this particular thing. I'm sure there's a pretty clear explanation. I haven't had time to really dive in exactly how it's writing this. So I made a little test.drawio file just to kind of get down to like exactly what's causing this, and maybe do a pull request to fix this functionality, either on Drawio side or Visual Studio side, because I think Visual Studio could have a much better experience if we did that. I'm sure there's not the only place where the way that this formatting is done in Visual Studio is causing problems pasting this as HTML, since we saw that copying the code as HTML in the other editor, Kate editor, we noticed that it was actually quite good. And so, but there's other quirks. It's not without its issues. Like if I take this and copy as HTML here, now I can press Control V. Notice that it's nice and formatted, and I think, yeah. So that's never a problem. So when I did look at what was in the clipboard for that, you'll notice the very different style that Kate does this copying in. So if I do an Xclip to show what's there, oh, that's the plain one. Oh yeah, but it's the plain one. So actually it only has one. Uh, but you can see that it's using the pre tag as the outer one. And then it's really a lot of no nonsense stuff that that you get for the actual code compared to what Visual Studio pumps out. And so anyway, just a weird little caveat. So yeah, in case you're having issues, I'm gonna make a little short post with the on Twitter and the other and what's it called, Blue Sky and all the other places, just to show like if you're wanting to create documentation and you're dealing with HTML formatting from VS Code, you can quickly make a little utility to fix it up, and then you'll be able to continue to work with that. But yeah, anyway, learned a little bit about some of this formatting stuff. So let's get rid of all of this, and let's just you know, use this opportunity to kind of walk through what we're going to do. So, all right, let's identify what we did. This slice, really, the complexity is in here, which is just showing, you know, how these requests get processed and how they're marked as done through this processor. And so, you know, we can go back to this, and this is exactly what we have here. Let's just highlight all of it. So if someone is, you know, curious about, you know, how this works, we can copy this and go back here, and of course paste is going to have a problem. Let's undo that. Let's go back to our little utility to wrangle that in. Go in here, paste that again. Paste here. Oops, why is it not working? Oh, I have an issue again. What did I do? Let's copy that code again. I might have copied something else beforehand. That, and then here. Oh, I'm not sure why it's not working. This thing's having issues again. I'm not sure if I can just do this with a text thing. Will that work? No, I don't actually have it. You all saw me just do it, so I don't know if I have to have the cursor on the same line. There's some weird stuff that I haven't looked at in terms of the edge cases of how that HTML is formatted. It's okay. So that's got the same issue as before. Even if I paste that as that. So premature end of data in tag. That's odd. Okay, so yeah, that's very strange. I think it might be the new line. Let's see again here. If I highlight this and just finish it on that line and then do the copy, is that going to give me an issue now if I do this? Nope, that seems, oh no, wait, I didn't do it. Yeah, there's something that's causing issues on the clipboard. Let's see what's in there. Oh wow. How did that copy that? So why the visuals? Maybe that's not Visual Studio Code. That might be the little starlet thing that's causing issues. So let's copy this. Go down here and take a look at what's in here. So that's that. Oh, text. Okay, so we're looking at the plain. That's what that is. And if we look at the HTML version, we have a div tag there. Oh, I see. There's a little, see that little character there? I think that's the guy that's causing the issues here. Why is he in there? Or maybe that's fine for it. Look, okay. So we have that. And what is the error here? Okay, so that's outputting that. Oh no, we don't have an error. And now we have, yeah, but look how it wrote it. Okay, so Xclip is having a bit of an issue here. Or not Xclip, but this little Starlet util. Huh. So that one's fine. So if, okay, so let's just look at all the XML starlets that we ran. And did I type something wrong? Because that's the last one that didn't work. That's the one that didn't work because I thought it was the collection. This one had, that one didn't work, I remember. That one really didn't preserve the spacing, which caused an issue. Let's see. So that is very strange why it would do that. So this weird place of not closing the tags. Ask ChatGPT why that is. That's very strange. So yeah, definitely a rabbit hole day for me. XML starlet malforming the HTML like this, and let's just make, so I don't think it's preserving the spacing. Very odd. Look at all the tab. This is still valid XML. Why is it complaining? What's it complaining about? Okay, pre has, it's shoving XML in there too. So that's very strange behavior, because this, yeah, it was working just fine when you guys saw it. Okay, so what is this prefix? What did it add here? No blanks. PS. No blanks. Is that a valid thing? I'm not sure if that is. It's daydreaming again, I think. So let's see if that works. Document is empty. Yeah, of course, because I copied that. Let's go back to our code. Let's make this a little smaller. And let's copy that. And now let's manipulate it through this no blanks thing. Yeah, unrecognized option. Yeah, address boundary, or maybe XML Starlet is not the best thing for this. So one of the ways that we can, one of the ways to do this is to reset the how a draw.io behaves, because after we pasted it once with the corrected format, we've had no issues. So again, XML Starlet is a pretty old XML manipulation utility. There's more modern things that you can run within Python or JavaScript or you know, other languages that's going to be a lot better. It gave me some other ones. I just wanted to keep things on the command line and not pollute my environments with more things. I don't want this to be a program where I have a whole dev environment for solving it. I really wanted it just to be a one-liner. And honestly, just editing this. So if I, you know, if I take what's happening here and just cut this into, you know, something smaller here, and just output this to our, like a temp dot HTML, right, and go over here and copy our function again. Copy that. And now that that's in this in the clipboard, we can write that out to the temp HTML, and then of course we'll be able to see this temp HTML here. And so you see all the stuff that's in here. All we need to do is really change this top tag to pre. I'm not sure if it auto corrects the last one to pre. It does not, so I have to close it properly. This pre, and save this. Close it. And now if we go back out here, instead of all of this, we can just take this as an input file to Xclip I, and then do was it temp HTML? Yeah, that. And we go back to here, we hopefully have something that's not ugly like this. And Control V, and yeah, there we have our code. And so, you know, if I copy this and paste it again, I'll have two of them. So if I want to grab some more code, I should have something that's, you know, the same thing. So let's go back here, and now if I just replace this with this, it does what I want with getting the formatting right. So a little bit of a workaround. The other thing that I don't like is that we have these nasty wraps here. Actually, there's no wrapping, so I don't know if I want that or not. I'm guessing I might want to have it, but I think the wrapping's kind of rudimentary. It's not going to keep the indents, so I kind of want things to expand to this. I don't know if I want the background to be black. I kind of want maybe to see things underneath these code snippets, or maybe not, or maybe at least get a different color. So, you know, there's an opportunity to, you know, open up this this thing here, and up here, of course, I think where we have the pre and the white space pre, I think there's a pre-dash wrap. Is it like that? Control S, and if I just go back and do that and just see if it gives us a better format. Let's delete all this stuff. I want to remove this old one and paste this. Note, it still has this issue. So forget what it is. Let's say, what is the free white space style to wrap lines? I don't think it actually knows the right boundary of this, so this might be like wherever it's rendered, it needs to have the right area here. What is it doing? It's giving me pre-dash wrap. Yeah, it's pre-dash wrap, but it's not, it wouldn't work here. Anyway, that's a problem for another day. Or if someone has like a better container for code in Draw.io, let me know, and we'll do that. So anywho, let's continue on with this. So we have this on the layers code. Let's get rid of all these extra windows here. So these panels, and we are on the code thing. So the code layer. And now what we need to do is show that, okay, well, this is really our green box here. We probably want this smaller, so I should probably edit that down to something else. I don't know if this text is going to affect the HTML correctly, because if we look at this template here, I think we've got this, you know, we have line height and all of these other shenanigans in here, which you probably want to change. And I'm guessing this would be, you know, if I was to go in here and change the font size in the editor in the VS Code settings, then this would actually affect this in here. So if I want something smaller, unfortunately, you know, there might be some other way to do the scale of this entire code, but yeah, Dryo is really just a fancy web page, it seems. So yeah, we can try and change this, but notice that the line height and other things are not playing well with this. So I don't know if any of these other things that we have, you know, image width, image height, arc size, all this other stuff, we don't have a good control of it here. So anyway, I'll make the text back to normal size again. I kind of ruined things here in terms of the size. Actually, not sure if we can do anything more effective. Actually, it kind of works here, but the line height, again, we got a problem there. So we can probably, maybe this will do. Okay, yeah, so we can sort of make it ugly for, but I kind of want it to sit here, right? So, you know, if I press Control A and maybe make it a little bit more readable with some, maybe 130% for line height, so 30% white space above and below. So yeah, it kind of looks normal-ish, as if it was. So if let's see if we can make it smaller by one more, so it kind of fits in here. So okay, so it's, yeah, it's tiny. I don't know why this is connected. I didn't want this to connect. Oh, I know, I placed it on, let's Control Z out of this. Okay, so I think when I moved this, Control Z, Control Z. Okay. So I think we have, yeah, this is connected to this line, isn't it? Yeah, we don't want that, so. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Still connected. I want to see where we actually made this connection. I think it was when I was dragging it. Yeah, I think when I took a copy of this one, and if you drag it onto a line, it'll intercept the line. So I think we ruined one of these connections. I think I certainly did. I don't know where this thing is now connecting to. Nowhere, but it should be. Yeah, so there's another interruption. So, and that's going to this, which is wrong. So let's just connect it back to where it's supposed to go, which is that, and then get rid of this. Okay, so our arrows are back to normal. In this case, I think we have other issues here as well. Nope, we don't. So as long as we don't clobber any arrows, this is our, yeah, so let's format this to kind of the size that we want, and then we can use it as a way to duplicate that and paste in all our other code all over the place here. So yeah, what is the font that we had? Was it like 7? And then we had this as 130. think that was tiny enough. Okay, so I'll just zoom in so you can see. Is that going to be, I think we actually want code size 6. I do want this, like blueprints have very tiny writing where you get a magnifying glass to look at that stuff. The idea of a blueprint is to have all information on it. So I do want to make things just tiny so you zoom in to see what they actually are. I don't want to be able to read the code from far away. If I'm curious as to how this works, I should be able to go here and say, okay, here's how we implemented this, right? And yeah, and that's good enough, right? And let me just delete this one here. So at least we have one of them as kind of the size that we want. And then let's see, what else did we do yesterday? So we had, or the day before, sorry. Let's get rid of this. We don't want to look at that anymore. Yeah, we wanted this function to generate these IDs. And that's what's storing this. So this is really our command in this case. And let's just make the initial copy of this. And this will be the blue thing here, the blue command. And so we just copy this over here. And again, there may be some opportunity to do some more automation here because you can certainly go and if it's hosted on GitHub, I think there's like, you can extract from GitHub like a formatted version of this as well. Probably someone else has done it, I'm sure. But so problem there, it immediately goes back to the size because the formatting is not affected. So yeah, we're just gonna have to, yeah, what was it, 7? And oh yeah, we need to highlight all of it, go to size 7, and go to this one changes in an odd way, like that. Okay, so that's cool. So we have that. And then, so yeah, this tells us how we get these IDs. That's the way we store it. Actually, this is yeah, so we have this push event really that's storing it, but we have this here. So yeah, we can see that this is the event that's stored. That's what it's putting in there. And that should tell us how things work here. Okay, so now well, how does the gear work? So we saw yesterday that this is where we can kick things off by having this notify processors. So this is generic, right? But we have this mapping here. So we could, highlight this as our mapping for this processor. That's part of the code. So you can copy that and paste it into, well, I guess I should make another reservation for this with the formatting fixed. And move this up here, edit that, oops. And copy this, Control Tab, paste this, and I guess I don't care that it's bigger in this case. I could actually just put the rest of the code snippets in the same thing. So if I hit enter a couple of times, we notice that it's got this mapping here. And oops, wrong thing. Let's go over here. And what do we have? Our processor, right? So we have our conf processor here. So control click on this. And then this is how this processor looks for things that haven't been done yet. So this is where we have, you know, our if statement, the important if statement here that kicks off, you know, the blue part, the blue command. So we can take all of this here, copy that, and go back here and paste that in here. So this kind of shows us the pieces of code that are important for the way that, you know, this thing works. And yeah, that's good. I would probably want to like have it a little bit on the gear to kind of attach it to this. Have a little bit of a convention that if the top left corner touches something, that's what it's explaining. So we can see how this works. Now the other thing that's kind of important, well, the only reason that this is important, the top part here for this GenConf ID processor and the fact that it listens to this event to kick off, it doesn't really listen to it at all when we have our async implementation. If you remember from yesterday, the day before, we had this idea, and I can quickly find where this is used, where we have this sync time. If it's non-zero, I can see on the right side, we have all the places where this actually is used. Again, I'm used to the shortcuts in IntelliJ stuff. So, you know, do we have sync time highlighted anywhere else? I wonder if we have any people commenting on this. So if we push an event, there's an opportunity for us to notify the processors of this event. Which means anytime that there's a state change happening in the system, that's when we kick things off. That's when we really need to react to things. So that's the synchronous way of doing things, which is why we have an equals 0. So this obviously falls through if it's not. And so this is where we will have our processor elsewhere. Where do we put it? Here. So we only set this like set interval if we do have something done. So this will be done in a separate quote unquote thread. And it would continue to do that there. Why this is important, we went into here because notify processors is called with nothing here, which means that this event will be null. And if it's null, we really don't know, you know, what's out there left to be done. So every 10 seconds, every 8 seconds, we have to kick off all of them. So we have to go for each processor, which we have a mapping of here, and this is where we kick them off. However, if the event is not null, we know which event kicked it off, then we go in and go through all the processors and only kick the ones off that care about that particular event. So we went over this the other day. But I'm wondering now if this is a good, you know, if there's an opportunity to put some of this code in there, but I don't think it's specific to anything to do with this particular processor. So we probably don't want to add any of this stuff in there because this, you know, we already put in the fact that we have a mapping for this one, but this is generic that kicks off all of them, right? So it's just the mechanism that we use to kick these off. All right, so so that's kind of how that gets kicked off. The other thing that we did was we put in this UI to basically show how we have a way to monitor if things are going, and if you can again look at the previous stream to see how that works. But it would be nice to show this as well in terms of what code comes into this for this to work. So I can just copy this and paste it down and make that copy here. Just get rid of most of the function here. Just want a placeholder. Okay, so that's good. And in this case, we have this request conf ID. This is a trigger one. Okay, so we haven't actually put that in. That's part of our little slice here. Probably get rid of my notifications. Do not disturb. I just forget about that. Okay. So here it is. To do jet. So this is what renders our little state of affairs here, which is, what is the current list of items to be done. And this little part here, okay, so this is just basically saying that we have this URL and we want to show that URL at the end when we're actually showing some output. So let's take all of this and put that onto that screen. So copy that and then we put it on here. So yeah, if someone wonders where this little utility screen is that a sysadmin can look at to see what generated ID, what we're waiting for. Maybe this processor's failing for some reason, and this is this whole list of IDs, especially when we're multi-tenant and move this to be more scalable, then you'll definitely want to see what's blocking things. And yeah, so that's another one that we'll see. And so we have a couple of places to kind of show how, we move through all of this. And then, of course, we have, a fake one of these. So we can show that as well, because we made a separate URL to artificially kick this off. And I actually want that in the intermediate kind of commits here. For this feature to show that, in order for us to exercise all this, we did have some of our instrumentation. When we're done with it, we might actually get rid of it. It might be part of the process for merging, especially to QA or a release candidate. We don't want those things in there. So obviously we would clean everything up before merging to QA as these things we don't want in production. So, but as we're developing it, these interim things can happen. This is another advantage of over branch per feature, is that I'm quite free to do these hacks within my feature branch, because no one's going to be taking that into any higher order branches, especially any branches that are going to be being put into production. This is, we kind of eliminate that possibility, which is really good. So let's take a look at where we have that generating. Okay, so here it is. So this is where we're pushing this event to oh no, that's the other one. Where do we have the kickoff? The kickoff happens beforehand. Kickoff happens, yeah, so this is the stub. This is not the actual functionality. Someone else will be doing this with the proper UI, etc. Because we actually just have this request conf ID thing, but we don't have the URL for the yeah, this should be a post. That's another problem here. This actually should be a post because the get should be the one that returns. So, I'm not sure if this will cause issues, but let's try doing post in here. Is that going to be a problem? Well, let's find out. Let's see. Let's go to the node app. Seems to be okay. And then we can do request conf ID. No IDs found. Okay, I was doing synchronous, so request conf ID. We have to press control. So that goes this way. And cannot get whatever. So that's bizarre. It didn't work. Did it give us any output? Let's take a look at our list of events. Did it actually put a new one here? I don't think it did. Yes, I don't think that works. Yeah, because we don't have a get, so we'd have to simulate a post via something else. So we'd have to have a UI that does that. So we'll just keep it as get for now, which is not good, but we'll fix that another time. Okay. Oops. Oh, maybe we didn't run it. No, I think we had it. Okay, so let's just make sure we still have this running properly. So node, and if I request something here, it goes to okay. Make this a smaller thing. And I think we have that found. Yeah, so there we are. We did this and then it populated it. Okay, good. So it still works. Great. Yeah, we don't want all of those. I think we want to get rid of Kate running. Where's Kate? Kate. Okay, we don't need that. I don't care. Get it out. View difference. This card. Okay, good. And so that should get rid of the swap file. And I don't think we need any of these. The diagram HTML is me experimenting with making sure that that stuff works. So get, let's just remove diagrams and temp, oops, and temp, and get status. We have nothing. Okay, good. So we're basically just working on the diagram, which is wrong place. CD open spaces design. Here's where, okay, we did have also a test dry-o in here, which I don't want, but we did update the diagram with these this code sample stuff. So remove test dry-o, and let's just add what we have now before we add any more. Actually, let's just finish what we're doing. So what we're doing now is we got this, but we also have a fake way to kick this off, and I'm not sure if I want to attach it to this. Probably this and not the actual work. So if someone sees it out of place, they're like, oh, okay, this is how Adam faked this event to show how these work on the demo. And they know that it's not like nothing was done here, nothing was done here. Events don't have any code with them generally, so it'll be odd to see, these are just property bag, Pojo Poco classes in implementation. It's really of no use to see them. This is the logic that you're looking for is in these here. The code that's here is not interesting, so it would really raise an eyebrow if you saw some code here. So might as well just put that little kickoff the route that we handle for this. Let's look at that. So this is the one that pushes this fake event when we navigate to this URL. Okay, even though it's a get, it's changing state. Yes, that's why it's a hack. I understand that's not a good thing. So let's make another placeholder for our code. Let's copy this, paste it, do that here. Let's go back to this and conf ID. Request conf ID, that's the one. And go here, paste that in this place, shrink it down a bit, not that it matters. So yeah, so we see, we can even say fake event for next slice. Demo of processor. All right, that's good. So now we kind of see where all the code is. And if someone comes to this event model and, oops, we have a problem. We have this sitting somewhere else. So let's extract that, put that into code and paste it. And so now if we have another one here, that's a place marker. And so yeah, so if someone says, well, how does this processor work? They can just open up the code and say, oh, okay, cool. So I can see I'm shoving the fake event here to kick this off. Okay, well, how does this read this? Okay, I can look and see that. Okay, cool. So, if the current event ends up being this request, really neat. So this is how it adds into its accumulator when it's doing this reduce. So we know that this is how this value ends up looking like this in this case. And then, well, okay, once that's in there, how does it get picked up, right? Well, how do we know? Oh, we have this thing that shows, the same thing here, the green box. And that's how we can actually see the green box on a screen that a sysadmin can see. And then this is the different ways that we can kick off, the actual thing where we can show that we're looking. I mean, I could also highlight this. Like, I don't know if I can just bold that part. Right, maybe that'll make it stand out a bit. Let's see if we can do a different background. Let's make it like dark red at least. With that, yeah, so this is going to show us the important part. That's what kicks off the processor. So we're getting a lot more descriptive, right, about how we look at this. Obviously, we can ignore the default of like, hey, there's nothing in there yet. There's nothing with these, so I guess I might be so inclined to just, come on. So if I have this here, I can probably do the same just to highlight to people that, hey, this is where we're looking for, those missing things. So let's apply that. And now they can see, where this actually generates the ID. And then of course, here we have the generate unique ID. So I should probably shrink this one so it doesn't get in the way. And anything to highlight here? Probably not. I mean, this is pretty dumb. Conf ID. I mean, this is really, honestly, if you were to, slice this up into whatever it is, this code here, this would be considered something that's at the API layer, but because we're squishing everything into this little demo code, this really is the command processor. The command would be fed this because it's not deterministic. So if I was to create a command object, I would make this call first, and I would put this as a parameter to the constructor. Then I would have some validation before this got pushed as a proper event. And in this case, if there's nothing, because we trust that the GUID is brand new and generated, I guess I could look at the history of events to see if that was done before. We definitely will get into that in other examples. And then this is obviously useless. It's just our helper stuff. But anyway, yeah, this is kind of how, going through the event model, you really do answer any questions. And of course, if I'm a business person looking at this, I don't have this on, right? I'm just manipulating all of these things. And what is this extra stuff here? Definitely getting extra things here. So yeah, hopefully that explains how things would work. And again, I could also highlight some more syntax that's kind of important. And that's it for this. So now on to the next part is actually getting the implementation of these tests in here. We did say that we are changing the format of this a little bit. So if we go, so yeah, this is the next topic here. Let's just move this layers control over here and go to how we have these tests structured. So where do we have our tests? I did shrink some of these other things here, didn't I? Yeah. So for example, these time slots, these rooms, and this test collection. Right, this test collection has this sample history, but what we want to change this structure to is to be able to support multiple histories or collections of histories. The other thing we want to do is make sure we can do sparse testing, which means that some of this stuff we don't want to have an extra unit test for this default, which we already tested here. I don't want to have a second test case come up because we specified a state view here at this point in history. So we want to support multiple histories. We want to support a sparse array for only kicking off tests when we have that. And the last thing that we want to take care of also is the label. So I don't know if we want to make it a requirement. I think that should be optional. I think a lot of the test cases don't need to be named, or some of them don't. And so, especially when it's evident as to what's happening, or maybe we just make it, happy. I guess you could say happy paths, like you don't need to name it. It could be the default name. And yeah, so let's see this this way of going through this image. We're going to try it with AI after, but if I get the structure to be the same, then I should be able to get my test runner to just run based on testing these. And then when we get to the command side, we can do the same thing with a sparse array of these commands. Now on this side we don't have multiple histories, but we could. We would definitely want to support both on each side, testing the commands and testing the state views. So let's see. What to do. Let's get into the code. So let's just hack away at this and get this done, where we definitely have the slice name, which is correct, but now we want to have another collection. So what do we call these things? Timelines. Let's call them timelines. So timelines, and we can do that, and I don't want anything like that happening here. So now in timelines, we want to make sure that we have definitely a sample history. So we'll move that up here. Okay, so that's one sample history. And we need, so okay, that's sample history 1. Let's Control Z that, because I need to drag in the closing bracket too. So sample history, we take like that. Okay, it's really nice to have AI and all that, but sometimes those auto suggestions are just like way too spammy. I need like a foot pedal for them. If I have the foot pedal on, it'll auto suggest, and then if I have it off, it just won't pop anything up. So yes, I know I have syntax problems right now. I'm just working this out. It makes me want to draw it and then put it into the chat window and say format this code this way, but whatever. Let's do it this way. So we have a sample history, which is that. If I put a comma and hit enter, why is it whining about this? Timelines. I think it's just whining because the whole thing is messed up right now. So so that's one timeline. So timelines, and one timeline has to have, I'm guessing, it needs to have one of these guys in here. And that has the sample history. And then I can close that little bracket. I like to make sure I close it before. And here we have the sample history, and then we have the tests. So into the sample history, we have the tests for this. So that should be all the tests, and they can go in here. Okay. We are testing that green box in each one. So our test runner is going to be able to hook all this up. However, so we do have a sample history with a bunch of events, but in this case, we also have the expected results, which will, instead of being put in here, we need the assertions to be, because this is just the events. So we should have event, and then This is interesting. Yeah, our test run is going to be totally different now, which is good. Which is good. Because we have this as the first event, which actually is fine in this case. Because now we will have the state view. Just call it state, fine. And then this would have rooms, auditorium, correct? And then we have a missing bracket, right? No, we have to close the one I think that's it. And just have it on this next line just so we're more easily organized here while we're creating this. So, okay, that's starting to look better. But what we're missing is the default one where we don't have any events and the rooms is empty as that. So our first case would be again, event. And in this case, we have a null. And then we have state and the rooms is like that. This is pretty cool that it's reading this. Do I have a comma? I hate to tab complete things. Okay. So, okay, good. So when we have no events, rooms is empty. When we have this added event, we have that. Oh, actually, I think it's starting to understand what we're doing. Oh, wow, okay. That's absolutely fantastic. So, okay, so a slice will have multiple timelines. Like here we see, let's zoom out a bit. So we have 1, 2, 3 timelines for this slice to test them. And the tests can be auto-generated from this a bit because we're really this is really interesting. So we have auditorium. So this renamed event does have this. Okay. So test name, no history, should return an empty array. So we have these names. So that's the other thing that's missing. In this sample sort of history, do we actually have a test now that's going to kind of pop off for each single thing that has a state, right? Because we're going to get into another timeline where we don't have, yeah. So this is a sample history with these things in it. Then we have tests. So that's good. And I think when we get this, this can easily be generated from the, obviously the way that Draw.io at least stores things. You can extract these objects, or in Miro you can also extract these objects. But now we can get these tests to kind of continue down this same path that we had before. Just want to make sure, because we're done with sample history, so now we're on to the tests, okay? And that works. But we want to have the length to be the state, to be pulled off from history 0 state rooms length. All right, that's, so we need to have all the asserts, not have hard-coded things. but whatever we're providing as data up here for our timeline is to be the assertions. So same here. Not the 0, history 1. So this should be history 1, right? So this is another thing that we don't need to have. So the test should have the history, which would be we don't actually want the complete history now, do we? We only want the event history. So we want the event history. And then we want current state, result state. Or just state. Let's just say state because that's what we call it up there. Again, we'll think of better names for this. And here we don't want to do anything like that, so we just do that. Yeah, because the manipulation of plugging in the proper things is going to be done by the test runner. That's good. Let's look at the naming again. So the happy path just ensures that these things are happening based upon these things, and it's called happy path. So slice name and this timeline. Okay, so we need the name. We're going to get into a problem here soon, which we're going to solve, which is, I almost don't want to put this in because I know I'm going to have to redo it. Okay, so this is expected behavior. Name happy path. This sample history is this. I want to put this up on the previous line, and sample history is that, and then tests is indented a bit. Can we just indent all of these? Something like that. Okay. We don't need the event count. That's going to be provided by the test runner. So, and the event history. So we're not passing the whole thing. Okay, so we've removed one of these things. So the test will take the event history and the state that it's supposed to have from that event history. It has a name. Good, so we get rid of that. We provide the state. Again, probably a cleaner way to get rid of more of this repetitive stuff. So this will be kind of fun for people to do contributions and pull requests. See if we can get something more streamline here. State. Result equals room name result. That's not event. It should be rooms. And I think, yeah, we have that. Yeah. So we're comparing what this returned with the expected state that we put in here. Okay, good. So I think we're getting better at translating this into a standard format, which will make it, we'll have to rely on AI less. So we can focus the AI into generating just, the logic here, which should be good. Let's see. What else we got? So I'm wondering if this will continue to give us good suggestions. Will it know what it's doing? Result, yeah, first, okay, I think it's starting to get it. Okay, so this is where we get repetitive stuff is really when AI starts to really kick in, right? Look at that. And then actually now it knows what I'm doing. I can just tab over to the next one. Right, it knew how to change all of that, right? Okay, so that's enough of that. The challenge is going to now be how to insert. Let's look at this now, whether we actually want to support it or how do we support. I think we want to support it. Just how do we do it? Because here we're naming what we're testing at each time. What we're doing here is we're adding notes. So second request behaves the same way. So this could be a no-op, which we could add into the history. So label, actually we want to do a marker. What we could have this as part of the history, which I think would be really good for describing scenarios, even though it's not used as a state. It actually gives a narrative of what we're talking about, and it really is a good place to fit kind of what people would want to add as descriptions or elaborations in their user stories. So it needs to have a home, and I think we can have that here where and if we walk this history, we'll be able to pull these out. So I want to add another item in this history here, which I think would work like this. So even though we have no event is null, state, I don't even want to actually name any of these. Do I have to say they're null? I don't think so. Let's, what's happening? Get out of here. Okay. I don't want an event null. I want a description of what's coming up, which would be timeline segment description. So segment name. We can put happy path here. Okay. And so this is kind of neat because if we have a segment name, we know to start a new collection, or yeah, to start to give more context to what's going on. And I think AI will be able to look at this chronological order of events and notice that after the third state view, we have second request behaves the same way. Why do we do that? Oh, just to show that we have, we just keep stacking them on top of one another. So second request behaves as if nothing happened before. Or, yeah, I'll just say, let's see if AI can understand this. I understand what this means, right? It means that I get another request, a second request for another one. And here I can see that, oh, it just plunks in one of these values with nothing in it. The processor picks it up and provides that, and then we fill that in. So that tells me that what we did here is identical to what we do here. So it tells people implementing this, or in this case AI, no longer people, is it, that it just has to do the same thing, or the person has to program this exact same behavior. So, and that's after the first one, two, three actual steps through that. I do want to commit this before we change any more to say that we added the code, the actual code into this. So let's go to our commit. Let's just do git status. Yeah, that's it. Git add, everything, git commit, and we want to have added code to slice components for reference. Okay, let's push that up. Oh. What did we do? I think I did something else on the other one. I don't want to merge. Well, let's see. Can we merge? Really asking for trouble here. I think I should stash these. I wonder if I lost my changes. Doesn't matter. You saw what I did. It's not critical for this. I'm hoping these things still exist in here. Whatever, if they don't, they don't. All right. What was I gonna do? All right, I was going to continue to add the second request behaves the same way. So, okay. Room added event. We have a room. Okay, so we have a different history, first of all. So I want to room added event. Oh, because it's totally rooms now. I'm editing the wrong thing. So this is rooms. Let's go back to that. Where do we have our room specification? So our room specification is easy. Like it doesn't have anything here. So we're actually not adding anything here. This is fine by default. No room should be returned. That's the happy path. Yeah, that's the way it should work. And it doesn't have multiple timelines. So I guess you can use this as the base case. I think we also, do we have the other ones too? I don't think I did the other tests for the other one here. Function state views. we have rooms. I think the other ones were time slots. Yeah, times, but we didn't do any testing for time slots. So this is good because we can adjust this currently for this new structure. It should, because yeah, we're not doing anything else, and it looks like we could just get rid of things that got rid of all red things. Okay, so now we have a different structure. We've introduced the idea of multiple timelines into this collection of slices. So now we got a problem because we have, for each slice, we need a slice.timelines for each timeline. Correct. Good. Slice name, timeline name. So we need another emoji for the timeline. So let's get a little clock. Do we have a clock? What is it? Alt dot to get Alt dot to get the emoji thing? What is it? I forget this stupid emoji stuff. I forget what the shortcut is. Emojis. What do we got? Time. This looks good. Do we have a watch? Let's do that. And so here we'll have that. But we want summary. That's what we want. And here we want testing. Testing timeline. Timeline name. Do we have a name for the timeline? I guess we do, right? Yeah, there's a name for the time. Yes. And we have a sample history of each. So let's just move this sample history as tests. So this has to be one more in, I think, for the. Yes. So sample history has these things. We don't have a name for each of these things. So sample history just has an array of these, I guess, histories. It's not sample history, slice history. It's sample history. I think it's slice history. That's histories, right? Histories. Okay, what is it? Oh, I keep forgetting. So we have test collections. No, slice, so it's slices. So this should be slice tests. Slice test, slice name. And each slice should have a timeline. And in each timeline you have so timelines, and this should be timeline. The naming is off. I'm not liking it because this has a collection of the name and has the timeline and the tests. So this should be scenarios. Is this where we put the word scenarios? That'll be better. And scenario name is Happy Path. Then we can have an optional segment name. I don't need this. Do we need the scenario name? Okay, let's look at this again. In our structure, what will we have? We will have, so we have the idea of this whole thing, but then we don't really name. I mean, this is just an extra description. I think, so here's the thing. Does this actually go, oops, Control Z. Do we have this sitting below and then this hovering over so that this is a collection and then this is a separate thing, a description. So in other words, this can have a different color to differentiate it, and likewise this would also be Happy Path and would be up here. And then same with this. We could have this over here. And so this may be, let's say, a different color. Let's give it a this layers thing. God damn it. Okay, let's maybe give this as a green text. Why is the text font color? Let's see. Let's give it a green text. Apply. So okay, so in other words, it's kind of like code comments. You're kind of going through and you're describing what the scenario where if you got to an important point here. So it's really for everyone to understand what you're doing. So in this case, this timeline is describing the fact that a request is idempotent and should only generate one blank value for the processor to do. In other words, we got multiple of these things, and we show that this is the point in time where we're introducing the duplicate, and that all of this is really showing but that's not correct. So say the processor is idempotent. This is more important here. So processor is idempotent, should only generate one blank value. Actually, we want to just leave it at that. And then what we can do is Control copy this and paste it over and put it up here, and really a duplicate. And even better, this could be moved down here in between to kind of, yeah, like code comments describe what's going on in the workflow here. So a duplicate request will be ignored. And then we can actually show that we have this type of functionality. And of course we have to, because it's a separate timeline, we have to actually change these to update them so that we don't have any previous values in here. But we do that here. Hold on a second. Start with a bad history with no request first. That's good. So no requests. If no requests appear in the to-do list provided ID is ignored. Okay, that makes better sense. Okay, so hopefully you see what I'm getting after is that we actually have two concepts here. We have the description of the general purpose of the this particular timeline. And then we have some comments as to, what we're trying to accomplish along the way. And I think in this case, yeah, we have, because it's starting from scratch, so we have, we have really this. I'm gonna paste here, so I can get rid of that. I can put this here. We do need to probably add another step here. So let's just make some more room for ourselves. Okay, so I thought I have this done pretty quick, but I think we stumbled onto some important things to take care of now, which is good. So we want these things to be addressed well. Let's move this up a little higher. And take this arrow and extend it down to here. Okay. And this, of course, is Control V. So we have that. This actually has. I'm gonna have to come back tomorrow to finish some of this. Because this, yeah, this is actually quite fundamental to what we're doing. If we have a nice convention for this, should really speed up a lot of our development. So let's see. Okay, so we have that as a result of that. A duplicate request will be ignored, so we have the exact same thing here. As a result, and then see, we're building up on this previous one. I don't like the fact that there's ordering in here. That might give the wrong impressions. These have to be random. So I'm going to change these values later to be more random. I don't want to give the impression that there's some weird order here. Okay, so here we start off from scratch, nothing, request, second request, nothing, which, yeah, that's what we want to do, is show that this request is now. I'm adding this extra timeline to show the structure more, but there is nothing stopping us from actually having the same timeline describe all this by adding subsequent things. So, we could join this to one timeline, but I want to exercise the testing harness to be able to take care of the times that we do want to break it up into something smaller, because I could show all of this with one single timeline and just building up more and more things. It might actually be better that way for some things. We'll just see, how we can do this via just the graphical version. See if the AI can interpret this in terms of what we're, the fact that we have this grouping, especially if we have a sample already, or we have a pre-prompt put into Cursor that shows how we deal with this, or it instructs the AI how to deal with this. But yeah, so why is this? Okay, so here we need to get the color to be the same. Okay. So now we have the names, which probably we want a bigger font for. So just bump that up by a couple of points. Make some more room. And that looks good. So now we have, and probably I'm going to, yeah, these arrows will be included, but I think I'm going to make these as large rectangles in the background so that it's quite clear that they kind of belong to one another. And then of course have a giant rectangle underneath all of that to show that it's sticking with the same slice throughout. So all of this is part of the same unit of work. And then there's just the organization within that that's going to be important here. So hope that makes sense. Let's see if let's see if this structure makes sense now. So I do want to have, yeah, so we have a slice name, we have a scenario name. We don't need this in here because we're not doing any segments yet. We can, let's leave the segment part. Okay, what is that? Okay, that's good. I think we're looking at the state at each point. This is going to have another revision after for sure because of the ignoring the, well, we don't have a sparse array still, which is worrisome. This starts to make me think that I may need to actually just shove the tests in here. I think that'll be better because now I'm thinking that, okay, while this reads nicely what we're doing, I kind of want to not have to just strictly follow the convention, because we have the implementation that's going to have to be written anyway, custom for each one of these times that we hit a state. And let me see if, see this, if no requests appears in the to-do list, a provider is ignored. So actually, I don't really need this either. This is just a one test. So this is actually the same thing. I don't know why I had that before. Because if this is a brand new history, and the first thing we get is a conf provided thing, we ignore it, so we don't generate anything here. Trying to find if there's another sparse history here. Here we know that we have no event, so we're testing that. Yeah, I think as we go chronologically, we have to find everything we need at each step in the implementation. So this means that we're going to have to insert the tests into the actual array, and that's actually going to make things simpler because we're not cross-referencing too much. So let's do that. So here we can add the test. And that's really good. Do we want the test name in here? Or do we not care? I think we put the test name, where the test name, god damn. Kind of seems superfluous. I kind of want to have the test name as either a parameter or something up here, or an actual result. Maybe we, I mean, we do have an assert that's doing something. I could return the test name, and then it's kind of ass backwards. Or we could just make a collection and have it as the name and the have a function. Can we have a name for it? We could actually just give it a name. So I guess we're dealing with JavaScript, so the thing that pains me about doing this type of runner is that it's getting way too language dependent. I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll other people will find how to solve this in their languages and we'll come up with a better convention. But the name sucks. I want to do test. When no events have occurred. Wow, nice function name, right? I like it though. I am liking this. Okay, let's see how well it guessed on this one. Oh my god, okay, well, it's writing itself, isn't it? Wow. And now we don't have this tests thing anymore. Wow. All right. Did we just do something amazing? We did. Do we have anything named in that other one? Can we actually... So the nice thing about this is iterating through all of this, I can throw in something to say, okay, since this is a timeline, it knows it's going through things. So I could throw in an item that has a comment we got here and state why. So now the test runner, let's not do the comment yet. Let's just get this running thinking that this is the structure. We'll introduce other things along the way. But one thing that we do need to do, the test runner will have to build up the events, right? Because we have no event here. I don't know if, can we just leave it out? Do I need to want? I guess we could just omit it, right? And if it's not defined, we just know we don't have anything there. Because we're gonna have, in the other one, we're gonna have exceptions, which is cool. I really like this. This is really nice now. So how does this, can I split this scroll bar? Slider, render characters, kind of a vertical split. Vertical split. Oh, I think I can do it here. Split editor down. Alt. Okay. So I want to look at the structure here and then double check that the runner does what we want. So, okay, so we have tests. Why is this red? Something's up. Oh, because, yeah, we jostled this around. a little bit. So let's summary. Tests are running. Test collection. It's slice tests. Yeah. And then slice tests, we have to rename that at the top here. Sync time test collection. Yeah, slice tests. That'll be good. 1 second here. Okay, so I'm gonna finish things up. Can't wait actually to commit this and see what you guys think of this. I think it's nice to have test runners that are specifically built for event source solutions because this walking the timeline makes so much sense, and we don't have that with regular unit framework and what's it called, unit testing frameworks. At least none that I've seen that kind of embody the way event modeling and event sourcing work together. So let's do that here. So everyone's doing their Christmas parties or something. No one's on the stream today. Anyway, so we have our slice tests. So for each slice, testing slice, and then in there we have our scenarios. And in there we have our timelines. So scenarios, yes. So for each slice, summary, testing slice, yep. And then here we're going to have slice tests for each, and in the slices we have scenarios. So then slice dot scenarios for each scenario, summary, testing. Okay, scenario is bad. That's not a. Do we want a fire thing? It just writes itself, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, so this is the nesting. Have a slice. We have a scenario. We have a timeline in the scenario. That naming getting me again. No, we have each scenario can have multiple timelines. Scenarios, timelines. Okay, and the timeline has a name. Scenario name, timeline name. Yeah, slice name. I kind of want timeline name in here, don't I? Scenario, timeline. So timeline is just the. So this is timelines, first of all. It just has timelines, which is an array. I guess we do have timeline names. So then this actually has to be like that, and then all of these have to be indented. And then we need to close another one of these. This. Okay. So slice has scenarios. Scenario has timelines. Timeline has a name. And again, what do we call them here? So this timeline is the happy path. The scenarios. Okay, we don't want scenarios, we just want timelines. I think we have one extra nesting here that we don't need. So for this slice, we have a grouping of timelines. So I don't want the scenarios, I guess. Scenario layer is not needed. We just have the timelines. And this is where we have things like happy path. Now we have a bunch of extras here. Land of brackets. This is matching up to this collection of timelines. So we don't have any other collections. Timeline is the only set of things we have. Makes sense. This is a timeline, just an array of these events. This is a timeline, just an array of these events. Okay. And these are not tests now. These are what are these? Checkpoints. So each timeline has checkpoints. Timeline name. Okay, and I really want to fix this. Is there an extra thing here? What is this purple one for? Is this the problem? Okay, so we have that. Timelines. This is a timeline, so it needs to have that closed. And then that should be to that. And then it's just closing squiggly and that. Get rid of that. Okay, can we delete this and see what we need to close, please? What's missing? Okay, AI, get out of the way. Pushing this. We're closed correctly to this. I think we have this collection closed. So then we just need curly brace and bracket. Curly brace and parentheses. So we don't need that one extra thing. That should work. Why is it not? So let's go the other way. So the last thing should be the parenthesis. Yes. The next thing should be the curly brace. Yes. For the slices. So this is slices. So what is that? That's not correct. That is our push. And well, I guess I can fold a few of these. Since they seem to be okay. Oh, we have this extra one. Is this the bugger that's causing problems? Seems to be. No, that wasn't it. Function, that's the function. Control Z. So this is the function. And so I should really indent this one more time so it's pretty obvious. Yeah. Yep, that's good. Oh, do we actually have one missing here? Okay, that makes sense. So these obviously are collections, so now we need to close this collection too. So yeah, that goes away. So this is a function. This is a checkpoint. And this should be a timeline. Yeah, should be a timeline. And that should be in that. But so where do we have an error? It's already erroring out on here. So this should be indented. This should be indented. This should be indented. Should be indented. And that looks correct. Okay, so we got push and we got slices. Push slice. Yeah, so that is a slice. And inside the slice, is that an extra space here? Yeah, so everything's indented one too many in here. Shift tab, okay. Actually, even more. Because this slice has timelines, and so it's over here. So this is timelines. And then this should be an individual timeline. Okay. And a timeline has checkpoints. That's what we're missing, is checkpoints. There we go. All right, so that's our structure. So now that that is done, we can sort of look at this and fix this. So have slices. For each slice. So tests are running, testing slice, and then here we don't have scenarios anymore, so we can get rid of that. And then in this slice, we're testing timelines. Okay. And now what we need to do is iterate through the array of checkpoints. I almost want to reduce because we have to build that up. So reduce, oops. And reduce tab. Okay, we do have the accumulator. And okay, I think it, so what do we have as the basis here? We have our history. Our event stream. And it's empty at the beginning. That's what happens. So in this reducer, we have the accumulator, we have a slice instead of a checkpoint. We don't need this sample history. We have, in our test, we need to pass the event history, which is the event stream. We'll fix the names later. And then we have the current state, which would be the checkpoint state. Yeah, checkpoint state. That's exactly what it would be. And that's all it's doing. Currently we have so when do we build up the history that we're putting in? So that's the accumulator checkpoint state. So as we go in here, we do the accumulator dot event stream push the checkpoint event if the event is not null. If checkpoint event is not null, we push that in. Perfect. Okay. Second thing, if there's no test, test is undefined, then return AC. Perfect. That's exactly what we want, because we're going to have things that don't have a test where we have the sparse collection, right? And we already saw that. So that's pretty good. We got the failed in slice state with test name, checkpoint test. We don't have a test name. We need to have the test and the function name. So test passed, and this would be test is a test.name. Control, okay, hold on a second. Where's my, does the chat prompt only work up here? Oh no, it works over here. Where's the chat prompt? Checkpoint test name, slice name, test failed. Do I want, oh, okay, that's just a log. The summary needs to be here. Okay, test failed in, and we don't want slice. Slice names, test name. We kind of have a console log. Oh, we should anyway. Tests are running. Anyway, we'll fix that up. That output's going to be wonky for a little bit here. Checkpoint, and we have test name, slice name, yeah, slice name, timeline name. We're going to have to add the timeline name in here too. All right, so, all right, well, I'm going to finish this tomorrow, but hopefully we're going to do a work in progress commit so people can see this on everything. So this is the design one. Get status, get add, everything, get commit. We want to say that this is a new test harness for timelines. All right, and so we'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna get some food, and so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for sticking around. Really interesting stuff today for the test harnesses we can make for these things. All right, until tomorrow. See you.